Semnol kake mofa seda.
We are wanderers, neutral and in service to all of New Eden. We rescue the lost and light the way through Thera. We sail forbidden seas. Come explore with us. Signal Cartel. Can't stop the signal.
Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to the Talking in Stations Sunday show. We have a big show for you today. We have CCP Nomad. Hello, CCP Nomad.
Hello.
And CCP Mischief. Hello, CCP Mischief.
Hi, everybody.
And Ben Rush is here co-hosting with me and also engineering in the background.
Yep. Hi there, everyone.
Couple things just to get started. Crimson Harvest has started. It goes from the 5th of October, I believe, through the 6th of November, something like that. So you'll notice that all of your wrecks in game are pumpkins, and it's 90% loot drops for the entire 32 days, 33 days, however many days it is. So get out there and kill people and take all their stuff, or at least 90% of it. So the other thing is the daily login rewards. There was a kind of a mix-up at the beginning. There wasn't enough days for you to get all the rewards. That has since been fixed for those that don't know. And you have to log in every day to get all the rewards. But the last few days is just boosters, so it's not the end of the world if you don't reach everything. Okay, there's my little news bit for the week. Now we're going to get into the meat of the show. For those that missed the FanFest stream, both of my guests had a huge announcements that basically are going to change the landscape of the game for the next few years, I would imagine, at least in the way that we look at the game and the way that we play the game. So I'm going to start with CCP Nomad first.
Think about the name in that team, and you're going into a final.
Ooh, I'm not sure where that came from. But we are going to talk about Homefront. CCP Nomad is on the Homefront team, which consists of a few parts. One would be the dailies that you do every day, which are changing significantly. We can go ahead and talk about that first if you want. And how are the dailies morphing to more be in line with how the players play the game every day?
Sure. So starting with the daily goals. Currently, what we have in the game is a set of challenges that you randomly receive every day, and some of them have skill points, some of them have ever marks, and you complete them to get these rewards. The problematic part with that is that you are not always guaranteed to have good accessibility to these rewards. And the example that I gave during FanFest was the Abyssal Dead Space and killing drifters in it, for example, where you don't really have control over whether you can find drifters there or not at your first attempt. So we are changing this whole system in a way to make the rewards more accessible. And we do that by presenting you with 4 challenges every day. And each of those challenges will be different. And each of those challenges will reward you with Evermarks and ISK, but also completing 2 out of 4 will give you skill points. So if you are after the skill points, which objectively are the most is the reward the most valuable reward, then it's enough to complete 2 out of 4 challenges. You just pick which ones are the most accessible to you or which ones you feel most comfortable with, and then you can get the skill points just doing these. And then if you want more Evermarks and more ISK, then you have to venture into the areas that may not necessarily be in your comfort zone.
Fair enough. Now, one thing here that's on the slide up here, the daily goals are being moved to the Air Opportunities window as well, correct?
That's correct, yes. So that you have a better overview into this daily reward of skill points. You can track which goals you have completed, which are yet to be completed. And also each and every goal will have a lot more details to it, where you can open each one and check the description, what exactly you are supposed to do. Maybe there's some help section there for new players, especially similar to what we have in Air Career Program, for example, where every goal has a section where Aura explains you what you are supposed to do. So this type of thing where we can guide the newer players, but also we don't have to bombard with all this information everyone all at once. It will be accessible for you only if you choose it.
As someone who has a Wednesday night show, small plug there for my Wednesday night show, where I've started a new pilot, the Air Career Program is absolutely a game changer for how you come into the game. Absolutely. And this right side of this screen that's up here with the basically almost hold your hand and guide you through this stuff is awesome. And to see the dailies worked into that, I really think it's going to help the new players fully understand what the dailies are and how to get them done without dying or without traveling too far, that type of thing. I think it's fantastic the way that that's all coming together, and I'm glad the dailies are being rolled into that.
It's very nice to hear that the Air Career Program works so well for you, because me and Mischief were heavily involved in that a year ago. So thanks.
Yeah, and that's the reason I did it, because I spent so much time working with you guys over the past couple years to get that done, and I wanted to see the fruits of everyone's labor there. Right? I mean, I didn't have a lot to do with it. Mike dealt with you guys quite a bit on this, but I still wanted to go back through and see it. I am a veteran eyes, but nevertheless, the changes from 15 years ago is, I mean, it's like you're not even playing the same game. So thank you both for that. That has been a welcome surprise to how that goes. And now on to the veteran player a little bit. When I first heard this, and the goal is getting the skill points, most of my alts are north of 300 million skill points. Do you ever see a time where the goal for the 2 out of 4 may be extra ever marks instead of extra skill points?
So we don't anticipate that to happen. It's rather that if you are a veteran, then most likely all 4 challenges will be accessible to you and easy to do, right? So it's not
Mhm.
about just completing 2 out of 4 and to get the main reward, but having access and easy time to complete all 4 challenges, which will give you more ever marks than it is necessary to get the main reward of skill points. So
Perfect.
I guess that should work.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And for those that don't know, one of the other facets of your team is court projects. Court projects are getting a massive expansion come November. I think you're adding what, 7 new sections, and also the tagline of everything can be a mission. Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit, and then how that's going to integrate into, every, hopefully quite a few people's daily routine in the game?
Yes, I'm not sure about a little bit part. It's such a vast topic. So when it comes to the corporation projects, just a quick summary of what we are planning for November. The biggest part and the most requested part is adding payments integration to the projects. So now the corporations will be able to reward automatically their members for contributing to the projects, for their efforts. So that's a big one. Another one is the new corporal, the project manager, allowing the CEOs and directors to delegate the creation and management of projects, so that more people can actively participate in directing the corporation, essentially, without having access to like wallets or hangars that may not be necessary. And as you said, 7 new types of projects. maybe later we can get into the details. We can go into the details of what those 7 are. But to your last point and to the first slide that we just had at the beginning, anything can be a mission. So, and anything can be a mission created by you, right? Such a bold statement. So this is an indication of where we are going. And to be able to expand on that, first, we need to think about what players are doing in the game today, what players are doing in organizations, how organizations manage themselves and manage time of their members and manage their own goals. So most of that happens through various channels. Some are in game, some are out of game, where corporations, because every sane corporation, every sane organization has a goal or multiple goals, things we want to achieve as a group. And to be able to achieve them, we need to communicate to our members what those things are and what are the steps to reach these points. And as I said, all of that happens both in the game and outside of the game, but there's no unified system. For example, if you are in one corporation and then you move to another one, then you have to relearn all these systems again. And they are also not reliable because someone has, not everyone checks out of game stuff before logging in. Not everyone, I mean, maybe today everyone is on Discord, almost. but not everyone is on specific alliance third-party application that runs on the web. Not everyone who is new in a corporation wants to use their credentials to log into a website that doesn't look like a part of the game. So these things today are obstacles for an organization to grow faster than they do today, but also to communicate what needs to be done. And conversely, for the members, what we want is so that you as a member log into the game and you are presented with all the things there are to do, where you can read, some things are not necessarily tasks or missions or challenges given you by the organization. Like, for example, the daily goals, right? They have nothing to do with your group. They are just for your own progression. But the things that your group needs to be done and that you can participate in, these have these give you purpose. These are the reasons why you may want to log into the game. And these are what makes you part of the group, right? Valuable member that can be recognized and rewarded for all the things you are doing. So this statement of anything can be a mission created by you is an end game for us. And it won't come anytime soon, right? Like ETH is so vast and there's so many things to do that this won't be anytime soon. But this is the direction we are taking. We want
Right.
as many things possible for you to create a challenge for or a task for, so the members can participate in it.
Right. And we're adding 7 new tasks coming in November. It was just asked in chat, and this was kind of way back. Shoot, it's been over a year ago when you guys pitched this to the CSM. That very first thing that came to my mind was industry, because, well, that's what I do. And it was just in chat. Do you think there could ever be a day where a corp wants to build a Keepstar, and there's a lot of requirements to build a Keepstar, that they could go to Eve Excel, put the Keepstar in there, and you either get the exploded blueprint or the regular blueprint, meaning either all the raw materials or all the parts, and they could then take that and re-import it into a corp job where we need this stuff and X amount of ISK per item. And that could even come from Eve Excel too, right? You could have the prices in there. You ever think there could be a day where there'd be that tight of an integration where you could re-import that into a corp project and hit go, and then members of the corp could just chuck the stuff in the project's hangar and ready to build type thing? I realize that's not going to come anytime soon, and 75 caveats by, but is that something that's in the realm of possibility, I guess? is more my question.
It is in the realm of possibility, but what would be even better is if we don't need Excel for that, right? Like if you can do all of that without leaving the client and basically be able to set up projects automatically depending on what type of blueprint you have, as an example. So that would be the very advanced version of what we have today, where today you have to do like plenty of manual steps if you want to give a challenge of building a Keepstar to your corp and all the sub-components of it, right? And gathering all the materials. That's a lot of challenges that you have to calculate manually. So if that could be done automatically, then everyone will have more time for shooting each other. So yes.
Okay,
Nice.
and now to transition a little bit. Well, first things first, can you give us an idea? And I don't even know this answer, so I don't know if it's secret or hasn't been decided yet. Approximately how many Evermarks a day are we looking at if you did all 4 dailies?
Okay, so we have a number, but it's not a final number. It
Okay.
hasn't been signed off yet. But
Okay.
the area we are looking at is 500 Evermarks per goal, which means if you complete 4, then you get 2,000. That's the level we are aiming at, but it's subject to change.
But it's a
Okay.
lot less than now.
Well, now it depends. There'll be some days where you get 0, and some days you can get 2 5,000 ones.
Or 9,000? Like
Right.
yesterday it was 9,000 that I got on one character alone.
Right. Okay, so now we've used corp projects. We've built this beautiful Keepstar, and we've done the dailies, and we've got our Evermarks, but now we need to spend them. And CCP Mischief is all about spending the Evermarks.
Getting your
And
money.
excuse me?
Getting your money. Getting
Exactly.
your
Exactly. Yeah, she is the Evermarks queen, we should say. So
Oh, that's a good one.
what are some of the things that are coming? And one thing that you said, like very first thing at FanFest, is you kind of talked about stuff that's coming in November, and then you kind of give the 18 to 24 month speak about stuff that's on the horizon. And I think a lot of people didn't quite get your caveat, and I kind of wanted to separate it into stuff that's coming very short term or in November. And then we can also talk about the longer term goals, because there's some slides that were shown publicly for the first time that I think are absolutely amazing. And I'd kind of like to talk about them as well, even though we know that's way forward thinking.
Yes. We coming November, we are taking a little bit of a step back on providing new customization options or personalization options in favor of spending more time on corporation projects and the daily challenges. These are important, and also the daily challenges are feeding the Evermarks that are needed for, buying any of the items. So right now, as it is right now, the only thing that is shipping in November, we're gonna backfill all the emblems for corporations and alliances for the ships that were released at the beginning of the year, like the in June expansion, and they are coming in the November expansion. But then the next step, and as I said at FanFest, don't quote me on this in terms of the details, but the immediate next thing that we would love to deliver, and we are committed to 2024, is ship customization. And on the ship customization front, that basically means we will open up the Skinner tool. So everybody, you don't have to have a specific role, can play with Skinner and create your own custom ship design. So similar to structures, the process will be very similar. You will have a library of default free nanocodings, and we're aiming to also deliver patterns, or at least a sample of them. So we can mix and match that, create a design. And design, as it in itself, it's just that, right? It's just a design. It's just the idea of how would you customize your ship, right? But it's a very important thing to have because you can share the designs with other people, with other players. They have exactly the same materials, so they can use your template. You can basically think about it as a blueprint for skins for ships, right? So then you can share that, and then they also can use it to create their own ship skin. And that's, I think, the biggest part that it's coming, that every single player now will be able to not only create those ship designs, but also then using Plex, turn that into a permanent skin. So the whole designing process is totally free. At least it will be in the first iteration. So you can play with that however you want to. You can save those designs without having to create a skin if you want to. So that creates a little bit of a playfulness, a playground to have a little bit of fun and challenges. And then anybody can just create their own ship skin, fit it, activate it, and have fun with that. So that's the grounds, the foundations that we're aiming to deliver in 2024. And of course, both then Skinner for ships and for structures will be expanded and will slowly start trickling down more elements and more elements. So the designs can be elevated, they can be more fun, and everybody can find something that is suitable for them.
So once you make this skin and you pay the Plex, then what does that unlock that the regular skin doesn't? It would be permanently in your skin selector then, and you can just click on it and apply it to a ship? Or do you get any other benefits from it?
No, at the very beginning, at least how we are thinking about it, it's just a skin. The advantage that is coming in here for every single player is that you have the full creative control of how the skin is going to look like. And then the secondary part is they will be cheaper than the skins that are provided right now and sellable by CCP, right? So you have that element of it's my own creation. Yes, somebody might copy you, or you might somebody ask somebody else to fly the same colors. It's up to you. But that's basically the building the foundation for you to be able to show us who you are, your creative statement. How do you want to look like? How do you want other people to perceive you? And it's also an amazing tool for all the corporations or alliances and even FCs. If you are leading a fleet, why not just drop them a design of a ship skin and then ask them, hey guys, can you actually, like do that for me? Create that skin very quickly. It takes a few seconds to do so. Activate that, and then we can all fly, wearing the same colors.
Okay, so basically, if you just log in and you use the Skinner and you color your ship, that will be free and you can just fly with it. But when you log out, that all goes away.
No,
Or
it turns into a permanent skin. So the moment you created a skin, so let's take structure customization that we have right now, right? You create the design, and then you have to buy alliances to display it on your structure, but it's a limited time option, right? So after, let's say you purchase 30 days, so after 30 days it disappears. With the skins, once you turn it into a skin, it behaves exactly the same as it is right now in the game. So it's a soul-bound skin that you can then use however you want to and how many times you want to, right? So even if you die, it still is there for you. You can activate it on a different ship.
okay, perfect. And like you said, if someone has that skin and you link it in chat during a fleet and everybody's like, oh, we want to fly that one, they can click on it, make their skin permanent for themselves too, put it on their ship, and then everybody has the same. And ostensibly, these cost less than the CCP supplied skins, so it shouldn't be a huge plex burden on people to do that, especially for the doctrine ships that people fly all the time.
Yes. So it's the whole idea in here is to unlock the creativity, allow players to show us their true colors. I know that I sound like a broken record, but it kind of is what it is. But then eventually, so we have more plans with that. that eventually we're hoping to turn that into a new profession and a new skill on the market, that you will be able to sell those skins. Because the idea is, I mentioned that during FanFest as well, we will be slowly expanding the libraries of the components that you can get, right? So right now, we're starting with the default, it's free, you can use it however you want to. But our goal is to actually be able to provide new drops of different components on a regular basis. So imagine every single time there is a new event, like Crimson Harvest right now, right? Then you have a limited options of new decals or new patterns or new paints, nano coatings that you can acquire either by participation in the event. Some of them you can maybe buy. Some of them are dropping as loot. Some of them are daily logging reward, right? You collect those, and then you are the one that just expanded your library. And then with those components, you can create brand new skins. And then some of the designs could be so great that you don't want to show them for free. You just want to then, turn them into a skin that you can sell on the market and make some money.
That is outstanding.
Yeah, I got a question, not this year, but last year, concerning let's have a look here. The holograms, there was some talk about having them being responsive. So let's say the number of kill marks and else. Would those like a responsive section of the skin be included in those custom skin that we will be able to make?
So how we're looking at this right now is kind of separating the skin creation part and the further customization of both ships and structures. So skin has its own different components that you can then, mix and match to create the skin. But on the top of that, once you are flying a skin, you can add different options to personalize that. And one of those were holograms. Another ones are emblems or banners. And then we haven't fully solved yet how we want to proceed with the achievement-based skins. It might be that we will be either creating those as a boutique CCP skins that you can then obtain, and they will activate based on that, or some of them will be loot, or rather rewards in this case. But we're also thinking how to make that optional to use for any of the skins that our players made, right? But that's something that is still in the works. So I don't know how we're gonna end up on that one, but we know for sure that achievement based skins, if we do, we'd want to do them. We are working on them. Once they ship, you will have a preview. But first of all, most probably they're gonna be a drop for us.
Nice, thank you.
One thing when we first started this heraldry things, and I don't know the answer to this either, so sorry. The hard points for the emblems. Will the
Yes.
skinner allow you to either change the hard point or at least mix and match them? Because some people, they want their corp logo where the alliance logo is, and right now you can't change it. You're locked into this one goes here, this one goes there, and then you're going to add the faction one as well. Will they be able to mix and match, or like if you just want your corp logo but you want it on the wing, can you just put that one there, or will it still be locked at least for the time being?
So with the placements, 100% we want to keep a little bit of a creative control of where they go, because not every single ship behaves in the same way, and you also need a particular space. So it's important that you can actually showcase that emblem. But in case of the placements where the hard points are that you can actually fit the emblem, they will be fixed. But we are considering adding few more or expanding the amount of hard points on the bigger ships. The smaller ones don't have the space. We also don't want to overshadow the whole ship. But we will open up the flexibility. So right now, there is a placement that you can only fit a corporation emblem in this one, and then the alliance emblem on the other one. once we start introducing faction emblems, we want to get rid of that restriction so you can actually figure out where do you want to put and what do you want to put there. So it doesn't have to be necessary, as you said, if you just want to have faction emblems, go ahead, do that. If you just want to have career emblems, go ahead, or professional emblems, go ahead, do that. If you want to mix and match them however you want to, it's your creative freedom. You are expressing yourself. It's up to you. What do you want to show us? But most probably, that's also, I think, important to mention, they right now are a mirrored image. So when you have a placement, they show on both wings the same thing. So most probably we're going to keep that just to make sure that we also don't allow to for the ships to have a lot of stuff, and we also have to be mindful of how that's that gonna impact the performance. But in terms of, do you want to have faction and bloodline? If that's what you want to do, go ahead. You will be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, I knew the hard points have to stay for art and the design of the ships, that kind of stuff. But being able to mix and match and put what
Yes.
logo in what place, I'm really looking forward to that. And I know a lot of other people um, are as well. So we've kind of talked about where we're going in November, which is just basically catch up emblems for the ships from June and
Mm-hmm.
this expansion. We've talked a little bit about the Skinner for ships going into the future. Do you want to talk about the Skinner for citadels and where that may be going in the future? And is that going to run concurrent with the ship Skinner, the expansion of the Citadel Skinner, or will that kind of be, we're going to do the ship Skinner first and then we'll work on the Citadel Skinner expansion after that?
So right now, we know that we want to focus on ships for 2024. That is it is a bigger target group, let's be honest. With that, it gives a lot more freedom to everybody else who is not interested in structure customization, especially that the structure customization is locked behind a specific role right now. But how we imagine this, everything on when I'm thinking about Hurley, when we're thinking about Hurley, it's one big loop. We need to find a balance in between the supply of Evermarks and how much players and corporations can earn versus what they can spend the items on, what they can spend the Evermarks on, right? So we will be mixing, okay, so ships first, and then we'll see what of the things that we've done for the ships can be translated onto structures, because that in some cases goes hand to hand, and then slowly opening it, looking at what is the feedback also from you guys, from players, and see, okay, what do you want next? Do you want to have more ship stuff, or do you want to have more structure stuff? And then make the decisions on that as well, because it's, we are serving you guys in a way. That's our job, right? To respond to the feedback that you have. So I imagine that it will go maybe not hand in hand, but a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then sometimes we'll take a break from delivering the customization options or items to look at the Evermarks economy and see if everything is in check there, or if we need to, figure out new ways of engaging players with the content so we can reward them with Evermarks.
And that's the beauty of Evermarks, right? If you need to give more, it's a matter of just changing a couple numbers and up in the daily quantity or this kind of stuff. You're not going to break the economy based on giving out too many Evermarks. You're just going to see a lot more pink keep stars essentially. But there's no long-term effects in the economy other than colors and this kind of stuff from Evermark. So that's awesome. You know, you don't want to give them all out because then once everybody has it, then they're not special. But you also need to make it to where an aspirational goal of a citadel that's decorated and your ship's decorated is achievable by a certain corp size as
Mhm.
well.
That's correct. And I think that there's one important thing that maybe is escaping all the when we're talking about personalization and customization is that Evermarks were always intended to be a social currency. So it's more about your social identity and spending the Evermarks on obtaining items that can express the collective identity, versus we never said that anything that it's your personal expression, so you as a player, has to be Evermarks, which means that you will need them to obtain some of the items, but not only Evermarks. So we have other currencies in the game. We have ISK, we have LPs, we have Plex, and anything that kind of touches the personal, like as a player personalization, can be expanded to those currencies as well.
That is awesome to hear, and the fact that you'll be able to skinner your ship and make that skin permanent with a Plex and be able to not only possibly sell it, but definitely share it with your friends and have them be able to fly the same ship colors. You could have alliances that have competitions for an alliance type of logo ship skin thing that works well with their particular logo and this kind of stuff, and then graft that onto their mainline doctrine ships, and the whole alliance or corp flies the same type of colors, as you say. I think that the esprit de corps that can go along with that is awesome, and I can't wait to see how people use that for sure.
I'm always wondering how many people will actually try espionage with that. I was like, I would like, can I just copy how, a different, like my rival corporation look, and then just try to gang someone and like, that doesn't pay attention to who was that and just buy mistakes that at war. Please do that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's coming. There's already people thinking about that. That's for sure. Okay, so kind of turning the tide a little bit. Now that we have our ship fitted and we're all skinnered up and we're ready to go into the world, now we see these funny looking sites all around HiSec. And it requires us to be in a fleet of, I think, 4 or 5 people. And it asks us to go in there and rep certain things or different goals once you get in there, and it rewards players for that. One thing that I was surprised about when I first saw them is the skill level required, or the skill point level required to get into ships to make these work. Do you want to kind of talk us through a few of the sites that are available in the home front
Operations.
operations thing, and how we can get to them and find them easily?
So Homefront operations are new types of sites that were added in Viridian expansion in June. Our aim for them is so that they provide content for small fleets where at least one member leads the fleet as fleet commander who is experienced in running through PvE content in EVE and can onboard other players, newer players with them. So, and with that in mind, we created several types of sites that are distributed in HiSec and which pay for participation for completion of the site, but the pay is dependent on the number of people participating. So the highest payout is when there's 5 people in the fleet that complete the site. So that encourages to always, because it is possible for some sites to complete it with 4 people, for example, right? And this encourages you to invite someone who might not necessarily be experienced and maybe even slow you down a tiny bit, but adding them to the fleet to complete the sites benefits everyone because everyone gets paid more. And the sites are made so that they require different roles, right? So you cannot just bring all the same ships and expect everyone to do the same thing and complete the site that way as other content might. In this case, specific roles are required. So for example, you need 2 ships that deal DPS and another ship that does hacking, or you need logistics in particular scenarios. So those sites require you to get a group that is familiar with those concepts, right? And at the same time, this expose potentially new players to various roles in the fleet, so they can learn how to behave in an actual fleet where other things than just pressing F1 might be needed. So that was the goal for these sites.
Are you seeing a lot of use of these? Do you guys track them by like skill points and that kind of stuff to tell how the new players are doing in these sites?
We check like what is the percentage of players who run them that are younger than 30 days, for example. This way we identify like how many newer players are running these. And I remember that CCP Ghost presented the number during FanFest. I don't recall that number at this point. I don't remember what the number was, but it was, I think, 30 or 40% of participants are younger than a month or 3 months, something like that. So this is an indication, one of the indicators of, yes, those sites are used the way we intended them to be used. Basically, they are an off-ramp for new players between when they join the game and do something solo, or maybe join a group and then try to get in a fleet to do PvP. So this is the middle ground for people who are still in high sec and want to experience how it is to be in a fleet and perform specific role under a guidance of more experienced player.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that Eve University runs a lot of those a lot of those fleets for their newer players and stuff to teach them the specific roles of remote reps and energy repping and that kind of stuff. And all the sites, basically, to me, it looks like it almost mirrors the Air Career Program in that in the Air Career Program, you have to remote rep someone with shield reps and armor reps and remote energy, and then other things, energy warfare and this kind of stuff. And it kind of goes along with that same, I guess, mantra would be a good way to say it. And in having them perform those fleet roles, most people understand pew pew, right? But the other stuff that goes along with it is a little more foreign, and I really think that's gone a long way to helping new players understand stuff in a fleet environment. You can tell them about it, but until you get there and see how it works, it makes a lot more sense. At least to me, when I first did them with my new player, it made a lot more sense in how you're kind of forming a new player to do the different roles.
Absolutely, yes. You can think of them as the extension of, for example, the career agents, right? We have 5 career agents that try to teach you various things at the beginning of your game. And there is one, or used to be one, about PvP, right? And for the one for the Soldier of Fortune, it teaches you some of the concepts of types of modules that you might be using in a fleet, but it obviously doesn't teach you about your behavior in a fleet because you are doing them solo. So this is the first time we are actually providing the players, new players especially, with an opportunity to learn in almost safe environment under a guidance of other players, with the content having an incentive for the old players to actually do that thing, right? Because those sites are quite profitable for a high sec content. So there's plenty of people willing to do them, and they are looking for players to join them to complete the sites.
And this kind of goes along in my mind with both of your goals, in that you're teaching them to be in a fleet and operate in a fleet, ostensibly with a fleet commander that may be in a player corp. And so then they get to see the social aspect of that player corp when they're on a fleet with them. And if that player corp has a skin on the ship or a logo or something, that's just one more aspect of the social nature of it, and to try and get that player into a player corp. Because I know that you guys have tons of data on if a new pilot especially joins a player corp and gets into the social aspect of it, they are much more likely to stick around than they are if they just stay in the NPC court.
Absolutely. That's the fundamental learning from EVE studies that we had over the years. There's nothing better for a player than joining an organization, a well-organized group that takes them in and gives them purpose. That is why people play this game for 15, 20 years, right? But to start that cycle, you need to get in. And this is what the initiative that I'm specifically part of is what we are trying to do. How to make it so that organizations can have easier access to new players to get them in, and then easier way to make them part of the organization so they feel useful, so they feel needed, and they have a purpose. And all this is like the whole cycle that you just explained, right? And what CCP Mischief is about is how to make all of that more pretty, right? How to make it so that you, both as a manager of organization, can provide the expression for a group, and also the same thing for the member in particular, how I can feel that we are wearing the same colors. It's just in human nature that we all strive to be part of a group, and group identity is just one of the aspects.
Right. I mean, and not to, I know there's a lot of, I don't want to make it sound like this, but if I see a ship and it's got a bee on it, oh, I want to shoot it twice as hard, right? Now I'll go to FanFest and I'll buy them a beer, but being able to shoot the ship with a bee on it is absolutely number one goal, right? And so that aspect of it as well is the same. That drives me in the socialization issue as much as them probably having the bee on their ship or them shooting a phage, right? It's just one more key in that identity to the socialization.
Definitely, yes. And this is what you all have been doing for years, right? All the propaganda videos, all your style outside of the game, all your colors, like the bee symbol, right? Everywhere you see it, you know what it means exactly, whether you're part of that group or not. And we just want more of all these things to be presented in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, one last thing. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here a little bit. Your last slide, or one of your last slides that you had at FanFest, had a whole lot of redacteds in there. And the one that everyone seems to be centering on was Alliance something redacted. And we all know that kind of alliances don't exist, but exist kind of loosely. And I know that your answer on some of this stuff is, and you probably don't want to say that, but do you want to talk about some of these maybe in a little bit more generalization? Or are we just going to leave it as is and go on with life?
I can talk about some of that. So the whole purpose of this slide is to show you that we released the core projects in June. Then we are making a bunch of upgrades in November, but this is not the end. We are continuing working on the corporation projects because we see it as a very powerful vessel for formation of groups and organization of groups and expression of groups. And of course, that goes into the purposefulness of the members. So continuing working on the corporation projects is one of our goals, and this slide kind of represents that. And all the items here are not necessarily things that coming because it's too early. Those are the things that we are exploring now, and what we want to get into the game. But whether those things will go into the game depends on a lot more factors, right? The technology behind it, the resources available to make all this stuff. For now, it's just a list of things we want. And we started building this list back in March, I think. And for June, only few of those things from the list made it for the release. For November, another few things. This is a list of things that haven't made it yet, but we want them to be in.
Yeah, I seem to remember this list from the summit back in January and February as well. You guys had just kind of started on it, and how it's. I don't know. One thing that I'm excited for is the redacted medals. Just being able to, if someone contributes X amount, or maybe they get 50 kill marks, they automatically get a medal type thing. However, that could be set up. Medals is one of those things that's kind of spooky to me in game, and it's kind of difficult to set up. And if you could do something to automate that process, that would be, in my mind, really awesome. But I'm sure there's a lot of other things here that other people would be absolutely ecstatic to get a hold of, and I cannot wait for at least some of this list to come to fruition. Like you said, this is just kind of a generalized list, and you'll work on them as they are demanded by the player base. So I think it's definitely a lot of work ahead for the home front team, and I hope it can really help the game and help people in the socialization aspect for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I can destroy the mystery. It is Alliance projects here, right? That's the redacted part is about Alliance projects. It's just to reiterate, it doesn't mean that we will get it next year, right? It's just on a list of things that we want to do. Some other things may get priority, but all of the items here is something that we want in. It all depends just on your feedback that we see everywhere. So Alliance projects have been asked for a bit, but of course payments have been asked for a lot more. That's why we have them in November. That's how it works.
Yeah, I think when you first pitched this to us in the summit in January, all 10 of us were like, payments for this? And you were like, no, that's coming soon. You put the brakes on that real quick. But I'm certainly, and I know the player base is ecstatic about the auto payments coming in for this. That really makes this whole entire project come full circle for sure. And I think the uptake from it will definitely expand quickly from that, or at least I'm hoping it will.
Yep.
Uh-oh, Ben, looks like Ben's adding in a few things to your list.
Since there's been a lot of speculation on those, and one of those is for the non-members of organization getting salt and local, so that we can get medals or payment out of it. I'm sure that there's a lot of organization that would be willing to pay for that.
This is funny.
Sorry.
Yeah. That just goes to show, and I tell people this all the time. Everyone, it's like, oh, CCP doesn't play the game. You guys do, and I know a lot of the devs play. But due to some of the old rules and new devs versus old devs, the way it's played is kind of different from the player base, right? Or the general player base. So it's funny to see both sides of the coin. And on a personal note, I want to thank you guys for the last 3 years. It's been awesome working with you guys, and really looking forward as a player now to see how projects will unfold in the future, and really looking forward to how this develops over time and helps Eve for sure.
Thank you, and thanks for all your work. You've been great, and you provided a lot of insights.
Yeah, the ship thing, I was incredibly looking forward to those features. Kind of got bummed out when I had a hard time getting to Evermarks, but it looks like I will be able to get to Evermarks a lot easier now. So definitely looking forward to getting more emblems for my ships. That is for sure. So I think we're pretty close on time here. We're about wrapping up. Do either of y'all want to give your parting comments there. We'll start with CCP Nomad.
Now you put me on the spot. How
Okay.
do I end this? How do I end this?
Teach people how to braid their beard. That
Oh.
was hot.
That was a hot topic, yeah.
Oh, did you even braid it, or did you just put it in?
It's just rubber bands, nothing else.
Okay, yeah, that's what I
It's
thought.
zero
You just
effort.
rubber banded it. Yeah,
Zero
yeah.
effort. I'm very lazy.
I can tell you, you guys remember me with my beard. My daughter and my wife did on multiple occasions try and braid it, and there is a picture floating around with the red, white, and green bows in it from some cartoon or something, Dr. Seuss or something. I don't know. They were squealing about something and taking pictures and putting bows in my beard, and they had a grand time with it, and I didn't understand any of it.
Yeah, so the one word I would say, just look, keep your eyes open about what's coming to core projects and what we'll be announcing in the future, because this is a very, very long project for us, because we want to enable you to create challenges and tasks for each other to keep yourselves busy and keep yourselves entertained. This is what EVE is all about, right? It's player created content, and it always was the case. So this is the direction the Homefront initiative is going, and I hope you will like it.
Awesome. CCP Mischief, any parting words for us there?
I would just love to say thank you, first of all, for all the people who supported us over the past few years since the game has been existed, and supported our efforts and didn't, crash our dreams and hopes through FanFest presentations. I was super afraid of that. But I also want to say that everything that we do is for you guys. So your feedback is always welcomed. We do have lots of conversations with players. We do scan all the forums. So if you want us to hear something, just start a conversation, and we'll listen. Well, maybe we'll not deliver everything at once. Not everyone is gonna be happy all the time, but there are a lot of you with different personalities, different needs. So we're trying to slowly get everybody their piece of happiness in New Eden.
Right, and that's one thing I wanted to do at the start is break up, what's coming in November versus what's coming long term, because you had that one caveat in your line at FanFest, and I think that kind of got lost on people, and they thought all this stuff was coming at once, and it's well, that would be amazing, but you would need 2 or 3 teams at least, I would imagine, to make all that. Yeah, the art team would be walk around with their tongues hanging out for sure. So. But thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
And Ben, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh yes, I do. I would like to personally thank CCP Nomad and Mischief for all their work, because as a leader of a small organization, all those helps is really, let's say, makes our job easier. Since those core projects are in, I can actually play more of the game. So thank you for that. I can get a better communication with my people that are not on the same playtime as I do. So the projects can actually go faster. And with everything that is coming up, it will actually allow me and my other administrative staff to play more of the game, meaning more projects. So really, it's really appreciated. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Thanks.
And I hear that the feedback I get from people is very much along those lines, especially with the smaller corps that don't have IT staffs that would rival some Fortune 500 companies and getting projects done and that kind of stuff. So one last thing I wanted to have a shout out here. Saturday, there's an EVE meet in Los Angeles, and we're trying to shame Matterall into actually showing up. Matterall, as you know, is the guy that's in charge of talking in stations. So I'm sure he'll hear this, and we should shame him into showing up. But for everybody else on the Talking in Stations Discord, there should be an Eve Meat section that you can go to and get details on the meat. Carneros, who's in chat right there, he will be there as well, and a lot of the other well-known people in Southern California. I had been to that meet a couple years ago one time, and it was pretty cool. So anyway, for Talking in Stations, I'm Kenneth Feld, your host. Thank you to CCP Nomad and CCP Mischief for coming. Thank you, Ben, for your engineering. And I made it through the whole show and didn't use your real names. I am so proud of myself for that, because
Nice job,
that was rough for me.
You can be proud.
Because if you don't know the CSM, everybody uses real names here. So I don't even know most of the CCP names anymore. So pretty proud of myself for that. Toot my own horn there. But thanks for coming, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Or Sunday, excuse me, Sunday.
Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you, Saturday. Thank you. Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye.